October 19th, 2023. A United States Navy destroyer faced a storm of 15 drones and 4 missiles. Nearly 10 hours of relentless attack. Each interceptor fired cost millions of dollars, while the incoming drones cost a fraction of that. If swarms are so cheap and numerous, why do attackers keep losing? Inside the high-stakes calculus that makes these assaults a suicide mission, the answer is not just firepower, it is the math that drives modern naval warfare. The clock read just past 4 in the afternoon when the first radar contacts appeared on USS Carney's screens. Out in the Red Sea, the crew snapped into motion, every station humming with purpose. 15 drones and 4 cruise missiles launched from Yemen were closing in, each one a potential killer. The Combat Information Center filled with the voices of sailors calling out bearings, speeds, and threat types. Commander Jeremy Robertson stood over the consoles, weighing seconds against lives. There was no time to debate. Every track had to be classified as hostile or not, and the wrong call could mean disaster for the ship and everyone aboard. The Aegis system locked on. Orders fired out. The first SM-2 missile streaked skyward, hunting a land attack cruise missile at the edge of the horizon. Then another. The 5-inch gun roared, hurling fragmentation shells at slow-moving drones that slipped through the outer layers. The barrage did not come all at once. For almost 10 hours, Carney's crew cycled through waves of incoming targets, sometimes a few at a time, sometimes in clusters, never knowing if the next radar blip was the last. Inside the ship, adrenaline ran high, but training took over. Sailors described the experience as intense, with each engagement a test of their preparation and nerve. Every intercept mattered. No one could afford to let exhaustion or routine dull their focus. By the end of the night, all 15 drones and 4 missiles had been shot down. Carney suffered no damage. Not a single sailor was hurt. The destroyer's actions that day set a new standard for modern naval combat, proving that drone swarms and mixed missile attacks are not just theory, they are a reality. And the Navy is already fighting and winning these battles. Every drone intercepted in the Red Sea comes with a price tag measured in millions. Over the course of 15 months, U.S. Navy surface forces fired nearly 400 munitions to defend ships and merchant traffic. Among these, about 120 SM-2 missiles left their launch cells, each one costing $2.5 million. Another 80 SM-6 missiles, at roughly $4.3 million apiece, joined the defense. Even a single SM-3, reserved for the most dangerous threats, can cost up to $28.7 million, depending on the variant. Layered into this mix, 165-inch gun rounds were fired. Far less expensive but limited in reach and effect. The math behind these engagements is stark. A single wave of cheap drones, often assembled for a fraction of the cost of a single missile, can draw out a series of high-value interceptors. Attackers count on this imbalance. By forcing defenders to respond to dozens of threats at once, they hope to drain missile stocks and budgets alike. The economics favor the attacker. A drone might cost $20,000 to $50,000, but the missile that stops it is usually worth more than 100 times that amount. This is not just a budget issue. Each missile fired is one less available for the next wave. The cost of defense becomes a numbers game, where every shot taken brings a warship closer to running out of options. The true danger lies not in the price of a single missile, but in the slow, relentless pressure on finite magazines, a problem that cannot be solved with money alone. Long before drone swarms filled headlines, U.S. Navy crews were already facing the challenge of saturation attacks. In October 2016, USS Mason, an R. Lee Burke-class destroyer, was operating near the Bab el-Mandeb Strait when radar detected incoming anti-ship cruise missiles launched by Houthi forces in Yemen. Over several days, Mason came under repeated attack, with up to 5 missiles fired in a single salvo. The crew responded with SMEM-2 and evolved Sea Sparrow missiles, electronic countermeasures, and decoys. Each intercept demanded quick judgment and precise use of limited defensive weapons. No missiles struck their targets, and Mason sustained no damage. But the events revealed how quickly magazines could be drawn down in a sustained engagement. The experience underscored a reality that continues today. Saturation tactics are not a new problem, and the Navy's ability to outlast waves of threats has been tested and proven under fire. Every R. Lee Burke-class destroyer sails with a fixed number of missile cells, either 90 or 96 depending on the variant. These vertical launch cells, built deep into the ship's structure, hold every defensive missile the crew will have for the entire patrol. Once a cell is fired, it stays empty until the ship can be resupplied, usually at port. In the middle of a drone or missile barrage, commanders keep a close count of what is left, knowing that each launch brings them closer to a critical threshold. This is the core risk behind every decision in a high-volume attack, because missile magazines are finite. When the last missile is gone, the ship is considered Winchester, out of ammunition for that weapon. There is no rapid reload, and there is no magic fix at sea. The reality is stark. If a destroyer fires off its 90 or 96 shots, it faces the next wave with nothing but guns and nerve. The enemy's goal is simple: force that moment of emptiness when the ship's magazine runs dry and the defense relies on hope instead of hardware. The heart of every R. Lee Burke-class destroyer is lined with vertical launch cells, each one a permanent fixture of the ship's design. These Mark 41 VLS modules reach about 25 feet deep, stretching from the deck well below the waterline. The cells are not simply racks bolted in place. They are massive, armored compartments welded directly into the hull during construction. Their depth and weight are measured in tons, and every inch is accounted for in the ship's balance and stability. Once the ship leaves the yard, its missile capacity is set for the life of the vessel. There is no way to add more cells at sea, no room to squeeze in extra canisters or swap out modules on the fly. The engineering is absolute. There are 90 or 96 cells, depending on the variant, and not one more. Every decision about what to load before deployment becomes a matter of strategy. In a prolonged fight, this structural lock-in means a destroyer can only fire what it brought, making magazine management a constant, high-stakes calculation. On October 11, 2024, a Navy logistics team stood on the deck of USS Chosin as the ship moved steadily through open water. Cranes swung an empty missile canister over the side and guided it into the waiting Mark 41 vertical launch cell. For the first time, the Navy demonstrated a reload procedure underway, not tied to a pier or port. Each step was measured and deliberate, from securing the canister to locking it into place. The success of this operation proved that running out of missiles no longer meant the end of the fight. Reloading at sea is no longer just a concept. It is a practical answer to the problem of finite magazines and a new tool for keeping ships in the action. On the deck of USS Preble, a new kind of weapon has already proven itself. In fiscal year 2024, the ship's Helios laser, a 60-kilowatt system wired directly into the Aegis combat suite, brought down an aerial drone in a live fire test. For the first time, a Navy destroyer used directed energy to destroy a real target. all without spending a missile or a shell. The promise is clear. Each laser shot costs little more than the electricity to fire it, a fraction of what traditional interceptors demand. But the reality is more complicated. Lasers can only engage one target at a time, and their effectiveness can be limited by weather, atmospheric conditions, and the need to hold a beam steady on fast-moving threats. Even as the Navy pushes the cost of defense downward, the sheer volume of a dense swarm can still outpace what a single laser can handle. The search for scalable answers continues. The next leap in ship defense is already taking shape in Navy research labs. High-power microwave systems are being developed to overwhelm groups of drones at once, using bursts of energy to disrupt their electronics. Budget documents outline plans for a shipboard prototype test as early as 2026, aiming to add this new layer alongside missiles and lasers. Unlike single-target weapons, these microwaves are intended to handle clusters of threats in a single shot, promising a future where even massed attacks can be blunted before they reach the fleet. Every breakthrough in ship defense forces adversaries to rethink the odds. As reloads accelerate and lasers join the fight, the cost of mass attack rises. Today, swarms risk becoming a one-way ticket. The real battle now is who adapts faster. What do you think? Who has the edge?